Thanks to Charm Chats.
Hello and welcome to Charm Chats
With Kendra
and Kat.
Today we are covering episode 316, Death Takes a Halliwell.
Yeah, this one aired on March 15th, 2001.
The Ides of March.
Woohoo! And the title refers to the movie Death Takes a Holiday from 1934, which means we're probably going to see death at some point in this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Though it has nothing to do with the plot of Death Takes a Holiday, because...
No, that would be too simple.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, we start off the episode, we are on a beach, we see a wave come in, but we appear to be looking through the lens of a camera, or at least that's what they've stuck over the camera.
Yeah. We hear the telltale click as a couple of photos are taken, and we see the frames turn black and white as they are, because, you know, that's how cameras work.
Yeah.
Mm. We see then that Prue is the one taking the pictures. She is wearing a white tank top that she has tied into a crop top, and seems to be wearing a black and white striped bikini top underneath, with a long skirt in greens and yellows and reds, probably concealing the bikini bottom to her top.
Yes, that's where SpongeBob lives.
Yep. Her hair is being held back by a blue bandana, and then she turns to Phoebe, who is wearing what look to be blue pajama pants with some sort of, like, pattern on it that may or may not have been fish. I'm still not positive.
And I do not remember.
And a white tank top with blue trim under a pink jacket, and her hair is held back in a messy, curled, like, pigtail thing.
Yeah. The jacket appears to be some sort of windbreaker.
Yep. She's sitting in the sand in front of a small sand tower surrounded by a sand wall.
And she proclaims said tower to be Kingdom Phoebeville.
Yes.
And we see the camera overview come in and, you know, watch her place a seashell on top of the tower. And then the waves, like, splash on Prue's ankles, making her kind of, like, jump out of the way. Phoebe laughs.
Yeah. Prue walks off and Phoebe jumps up to catch up with her. And this scene is mostly in ADR, probably due to, like, you know, the waves crashing behind them.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Prue doesn't understand why Phoebe would spend an hour building something that she knows is going to be destroyed in 5 seconds.
Hey, theme.
Yep.
Phoebe says that Phoebeville will live forever in the hearts of the villagers who came to love it.
And then she wonders why Prue is so bummed out because they're supposed to be relaxing and having fun.
Prue says that she thought they were just giving Piper and Leo some alone married people time because they weren't immediately going on their honeymoon.
Phoebe, who seems to be talking in a very childish voice for this entire scene that I do not understand, doesn't believe that there is nothing else going on with Prue, but Prue says that she just doesn't really like the beach. Phoebe, of course, doesn't understand how that could be, you know, possible, but I completely get it. I don't really care much for sun and sand either.
Yeah.
Though,
I like tide pools.
You know, I don't mind pools. And pools that are meant to be like beaches, where they do the gradual walk-in thing.
The zero depth.
Yeah, I love those. Those are awesome. I don't like sand.
No, I mean I like tide pools, like at the beach. Those are fun.
Yeah. I don't normally see those very much. Because I don't go to the beach very often.
Neither do I.
I just don't like sand. Sand gets in places it should not get.
It's rough. It's coarse. It gets everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Anakin.
Yeah, sand is nature's glitter, and I don't like it.
Nah.
It gets in places it shouldn't be.
Sand is better than glitter.
Sand is better than glitter, because you can actually get rid of it.
Unless it's seaweed glitter.
Well.
Lush has seaweed glitter in all of their things that have glitter. Like, it's biodegradable.
I don't understand bath bombs with glitter in them. I just don't.
I love them. I want that star that's a bath melt that's literally just, like, seaweed glitter and cocoa butter or whatever the fuck. That's all it is. I saw it once and oh man, I want it. I want to sparkle like a vampire.
You know, I'm gonna not even touch that one. You know what I love about Lush bath bombs is the names of them.
Yeah, they are good.
And there's one that they don't make anymore, and I'm really sad about it because it was really cool. Like, it smelled really nice. It was called Waving Not Drowning. Which just, like, who came up with that as a name? Like, no, Waving Not Drowning. Anyway, I digress. So, Prue apparently has a much different reason to dislike the beach.
And she tells Phoebe that after Mom's funeral, Grams took them to the beach to try and cheer them up. So something about the sand plus ocean just make Prue angry and unhappy.
Yeah. Phoebe wonders why it makes her angry, because their mom's death just made Phoebe sad, and Prue says that she doesn't really do sad, and that she didn't even cry at the funeral. I don't think I've ever cried at a funeral. I've cried after the fact, I've cried before the fact, but I don't think I've ever cried at a funeral. I think I've always been able to keep my composure enough.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I've definitely laughed at the funeral. I'm that kind of guy.
Oh, yeah, no. In my family, like when my uncle, well, he's technically my great uncle, but when my Uncle Darwin died, there was no crying. It was somber, yes, but there was no crying. Like it was mostly just, telling stories but again, Jewish. So,
Yeah.
that's a thing with us. With us. I'm not Jewish, but my family.
There was a lot of...
That side of the family is Jewish.
I did a lot of eye-rolling at my mother's funeral, but that was mostly because of the eulogy.
Well, but yeah, like, it's very... I understand that, like, funerals are sad things because somebody has died.
Depends on the
But, like,
family and the culture. And
Yeah, like, it wouldn't... I think, especially in my family, not just Jewish culture, but especially in my family, we celebrate the life they lived. And my Uncle Darwin was, a performer. It's what he did. And so, like, we had people singing and, like, all sorts of stuff at his... Well, it was while we were sitting Shiva. But,
Yeah.
It's just a lot of celebrating his life as opposed to mourning his death. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I wish that more people would celebrate life while it's happening. Like, I really think that, like, if there's somebody in your life that you don't see very often, but you want them to know that you love them, tell them now. Don't wait till they're gone to be like, I loved them so much. I love you, Kendra.
I love you too.
Yay! And we love all of you, because you're amazing people. We love the dog, too.
Yes, we're just
We're
trying
not to wake the dog.
Well, he's awake. We're trying not to startle him so that he must get up.
Yes. But yeah. Like, that's I think, the biggest thing is telling people you love them while they're still around to hear it. Because more people need to know that they're loved while they're still here. That is my PSA for the day. Let's continue the episode. So, it finally clicks in Phoebe's brain that they had just seen their mom at the wedding, and now they're on the beach, so it's bringing up some issues in Prue.
And then she yells out that Princess Prue has spoken, calls herself the queen, and then that Phoebeville will be abandoned for greater pastures and 2 lattes.
Yeah. Prue gives an all hail the queen, which makes Phoebe realize that she loves to be hailed, and I immediately thought of All Hail the Glow Cloud.
Oh, yeah, I love to be hailed. It's great.
Yeah. As Phoebe runs off, Prue turns around to take a few more pictures of the water.
And we see a woman in a long-sleeve blue sweater over a white shirt with, like, this long gray skirt and a blue and purple plaid scarf that's, like, wrapped around her neck. It's real thin. Is standing, like, up on the dunes or, like, a nearby hill or something above them and taking photos of Prue. And, of course, because Prue is somehow... just, like, doing a 360.
Yeah, she, like, turns around for some reason and starts taking a picture of, like, the sand and dunes behind her for some reason. She happens to see said woman. The woman sees her see her, which is one of the most awkward phrases I've ever had to write down.
Well, you could be using 4 that's in a row.
Very true.
Or ands.
The woman sees her see her. And Prue goes to take her picture, and there's, like, this black shadow thing floating beside her. And she takes a couple of shots of it, and then calls out to the woman, who, of course, immediately runs away.
And the black shadow follows her.
Yeah. Phoebe comes running back over, asking if Prue is okay, and Prue tells her about the woman and the shadow, and says that the shadow, quote, had to be demonic, unquote, because that's where her mind automatically goes.
Phoebe asks if she means it was like the Woogie, so call back to episode 115.
Yeah, they've done a lot of callbacks to the first season.
Yeah.
In this season.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. But Prue says it was way spookier than the Woogie, but she thinks she got pictures of it, and Phoebe realizes that they're not going to be getting those lattes.
Nope, not so much. We then cut to a man in a suit, floating a few inches above the ground inside what seems to be an apartment. And then we see a woman in a lovely blue knit sweater over a green shirt talking to another man who is also wearing a suit. And we can see that we are in Cole's apartment. It's the telltale picture on the wall that hid the altar
Yep.
that's shown, which is how we know where we are.
The woman, we don't really get a name for it this time, although IMDb has her listed as Mrs. Owens.
We will get that name later.
Yeah.
Just not right now.
Yeah.
But
She's played by Annie Abbott. And
Yep.
she has 50 acting credits between 1986 and 2015. Mostly single episodes of TV shows. So
Yep.
she's that lady.
she is. The floating guy is totally that guy. He is played by Wade Williams. He was credited as Wade Andrew Williams in this episode. He was born in 1961 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and started acting in 1997. He is still going strong, and he was one of the military people in episode 520 of Buffy, the Spiral episode, which aired just after this episode of Charms, which is probably why he looked familiar to me.
Yeah.
And that's the one they're in the RV running with Spike. It was funny. But some people might remember him from his long run on the show Prison Break from 2005 to 2008. I never watched Prison Break.
I had a friend who had a cameo on that.
Nice. I tried to watch it. I got through the first episode and was like, I don't care about any of these people.
Yeah. No, apparently my friend was in an episode, I think, where he got hit by a bus or something. Like, while riding a bike is my understanding of his very, very brief scene.
Hey, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the last guy, other suit, is played by Christopher Shea. He was born literally the day after the first moon landing in Arlington, Massachusetts.
That would be July 21st, 1969, for anyone who might not know.
He has 32 acting credits between 1995 and 2014, with his first 4 credits just being voice in things. Mm-hmm. His first on-camera gig was 2 episodes of Star Trek DS9 and then an episode of Star Trek Voyager.
Yep.
And he's also played 2 different people on Enterprise.
Yep. So, there you go. And this is going to be one of the weirdest episodes with these 2 guys, because we will see them again and again. And legit, like, we don't get we get names for what they are, but we don't get specific names for them.
Yeah.
And so, like, it might be slightly confusing, because as I was taking notes for it, I was getting confused as to which was which. Mm-hmm. I apologize in advance for if anybody gets confused. We'll figure out as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
But yeah, the woman asks if they're both going to be living in the apartment together. They say yes, and one of the guys floats across the room again. She doesn't notice.
Floaty guy floats across the room
But then
again.
when she turns around, he's in a completely different place, and she just kind of, like, brushes it off in her mind.
Yeah.
She says that she's, quote-unquote, fine with the whole alternative lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she doesn't live in San Francisco, but she doesn't quite live in the Castro. Mm-hmm. This is not, of course, anything she says out loud. It's just my commentary. And then she goes on to say that she doesn't like loud, and that the last tenant, Mr. Turner, was a little strange and disappeared without a trace, but he was nice and quiet, so she liked him.
Yep. Floaty guy then opens Cole's altar and says that he can sense demonic residue all over the altar. And the other guy seems annoyed that she didn't show them the altar. He then floats toward her, which freaks her out, and asks what else her, quote, tiny human brain might know about Cole Turner.
Okay, so that'll be Mo. So he's the one with the curly hair, and Curly's the one with the balding.
Like I said, I apologize in advance for anyone who gets confused.
Anyway, yeah, all of this floating and the head tilting definitely did also remind me of the gentleman from Buffy.
I totally thought about the gentleman, because he does. He floats with this, like, slight head tilt thing. And so my first thought was the gentleman from the Buffy episode
Except
Hush.
they talk and have way less prosthetic work and are not Doug Jones.
Very true. They are not Doug Jones. The other thing that it reminded me was the Strangers, or as I lovingly called them, the Misters, because they were Mr. Hand and Mr. Book and Mr. something else.
Okay.
From the movie Dark City.
I don't know that one.
So I will link to both of those. I'm going to make you watch Dark City because I think you might enjoy it.
Okay.
It was the first movie I ever bought on DVD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's Kiefer Sutherland and Rufus something or other.
Wainwright?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Hold on.
Oh, now you gotta look it up.
Yeah, because it's Rufus something. Rufus Sewell.
Sewell?
Sewell.
Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it?
I don't know.
Oh, click on it. I need to see his face. Oh, yes, that guy.
Yeah. Rufus Sewell. But yeah, Dark City is so good. And Jennifer Connelly is in it.
Ooh, yeah.
And William Hurt is in it. And I think you'll enjoy it. And so, yeah.
Anyways. But yeah,
So-
the woman starts crying and freaking out, not knowing what they want. And
he tells her not to talk because her brainstem will do the talking for her.
and then Curly floats on behind her, bites her neck, but like the base of her skull, like
Yeah.
a vampire, fangs and everything. And she screams, falls to the ground. He wipes the blood off of his mouth with a handkerchief. And Mo asks if Balthazar is alive.
And
So Curly says that she didn't know, but knows someone who might.
And we go to the opening credits.
Mm-hmm. There is no Daryl this episode,
Yeah.
alas. We get a shot panning over the Golden Gate Bridge before an exterior day shot of the manor that pans down through a tree with green leaves and then at the base of the stairs. And we get a little tiny glimpse of Swan Hitch.
Smallest glimpse ever of the Swan Hitch. Inside the foyer, Piper is looking at herself in the mirror. She's wearing a pink top with a U cut out
Like
at
a really
the neck.
tiny U cut out.
Yeah, like if it had a double scallop, I'd call it a penis collar. But you
Yeah.
know, it's a lovely little dinky U collar. U cut out at the neck with a black skirt, which at first I thought was pants, but I find out later is a skirt.
Yeah.
So I figured I'll tell you now.
Yeah, kind of like a mermaid skirt.
As well as a little diamond necklace with her hair down, and she wonders if she shouldn't be wearing white as they're going to a white lighter reception. Leo walks into frame wearing a brown shirt under a gray coat and says that she looks beautiful and his friends are going to love her.
If they ever get there. Piper doesn't understand why her sisters can't come and do a group hug thing as Phoebe comes down the stairs holding the Book of Shadows. Phoebe is wearing black pants with a shiny belt and a pink pattern top that has pink lace trim. Her hair's down and it is very wavy,
Very,
and I love
very
when she
wavy.
does this.
Yeah. And when I first saw this outfit, I thought the belt was like inlaid into the pants, but it isn't. It's just laid over the pants.
Okay.
It's like, it doesn't even look like it's really through belt loops. So it's
Weird.
more, yeah, so it's more like a fashion accessory as opposed to an actual, like, useful accessory.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting. Leo says that he can orb Piper because she's his wife, but that he's not a cosmic taxi for the whole family.
Which makes Phoebe giggle because Leo said wife.
Yeah. Piper waves her off in that adorable way that she does and tells Leo that she's ready to go.
Phoebe asks about Prue's demon-looking shadowy thingy, and Leo says he'll be in calling distance if it attacks.
Phoebe tells them to have fun and bring her back a cloud, which is, I think, where I get my bring me back a thing. Whenever people go on trips, like a friend went to Vegas and I was like, bring me back something pretty, you know, like a showgirl. It became a thing, and I think I got it maybe from this show. He actually brought me back a playing card deck with nude ladies on it, which is not what I asked for.
Were they pretty?
You know. Anyway, Piper and Leo cuddle up and orb out.
And then Prue walks in carrying some photos, saying that she has to see if she can get Daryl to track the woman down.
So while he isn't in the episode, he is at least mentioned.
And Prue's wearing jeans with a red plaid top under a red sweater.
And it's like a long sweater, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically like trench coat length.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lovely red sweater, and I enjoyed it a lot. I actually have a sweater that's that length in black. It's not as cozy looking as her sweater looked, though. Like, her sweater was like a knit kind of cozy looking thing. Mine is not that cozy looking. Anyway, her hair is down. She's wearing a small gold choker necklace. Phoebe asks what she found, and Prue says that the shadow didn't show up in any of the pictures she took, which they both think is weird.
Phoebe puts the book down, and as the doorbell rings, Prue asks if she found anything. Phoebe, as she heads to the door, says no, but that she didn't have a lot to go on. Phoebe opens up the door, and there stands Rhys Davidson.
Now, we've seen him before, so you can check the show notes for episode 308 if you need a refresher.
Phoebe asks what he wants, and he says that he knows Cole Turner is alive and in town, and it gets worse. And Phoebe can tell him where Cole is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw in a John Mulaney reference there.
Okay. Yeah, he says that Phoebe can tell him where Cole is. She acts surprised, and he says that the former landlady of Cole's was found brutally murdered in his apartment.
This is where we learn that her name was Mrs. Owens.
Yep.
Yeah, and Phoebe says that it's awful, but says that Cole didn't do it.
And she starts to continue, but then he reminds her that she said that Cole left without a word 4 months prior.
Yeah, and she says
man.
she's sorry about the murder, and he, tells her information she doesn't actually need to know. That honestly he probably could have held again. Like if I were a cop on this case, I wouldn't give this information because I would want them to give it to me.
Yeah.
Because that would tell me that they know.
He basically gives her some exposition telling her exactly how the woman died and how they found her.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently her eyes were frozen open in terror, her skull was punctured in 2 places, and by the time the police got there, most of her brain had spilled out onto the floor. Which makes me wonder exactly what those fangs do. Like, do they literally just liquefy your fucking brain?
Possibly.
They're supposed to feed off the brainstem. The brain shouldn't be affected.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Who knows? Anyway, he tells her... I love this. He tells her to be sick or horrified, but not to lie to him about being sorry. And I wanted to punch him in the face.
I did too, but, I appreciate his passion about catching murderers.
I get that, but,
Prue gets upset that he seems to be accusing Phoebe for the murder, and he says that lying to protect Cole is just as bad. And I'm like, no, that's a completely different charge. It's accessory.
Yeah.
Accessory is not a murder charge.
That is aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
It's not even accessory.
Yeah, exactly. Accessory is if you helped the assailant murder the person.
Correct. Yeah. This would just be aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
He asks again where Cole is, but no one answers him, so he says that he's going to find Cole and bust his ass.
And then come back and bust hers. So he leaves. Prue walks over to Phoebe to see if she's okay.
Phoebe says that Cole didn't do it, and Prue says that she doesn't have to convince her of that.
So hey, at least, Prue's
kind of warming up. Yeah. She then looks outside and sees the lady from the beach in that same outfit talking to Reese, and sees the dark shadow floating behind her. We're given a lovely glimpse of the swan hitch from the back. Because we're looking down to the bottom of the stairs.
Swan booty. She asks if Phoebe sees it, but Phoebe does not, and then Phoebe wonders if Reese is having this woman follow them.
Prue says that she's more concerned about what's following the woman and doesn't understand why Phoebe can't see it.
As the woman and Reese get back in the car, Phoebe says it doesn't matter if she can't see it because Prue can, and then asks if Prue thinks it might have anything to do with the landlady's death.
As the car drives off, Prue says that it would be a pretty big coincidence if it didn't, and she decides to follow the woman to protect her from the shadow thing. Phoebe warns her to be careful, and Prue says that she will be, and then tells Phoebe to find Cole and tell him about the landlady and see if he knows anything about the shadow.
She says bye and leaves. Phoebe closes the door, and we fade dissolve to a cemetery.
It's still pretty bright outside.
And we pan over to see that mausoleum in the distance and cut to Cole inside. He's wearing a lovely little light gray ribbed sweater shirt thingy.
Yep.
Under a black jacket with black pants. It's all very tight.
Yeah.
And also tight. And he's freaking out about having to leave because it's too dangerous.
Phoebe has added a jean jacket with weird sleeve additions to her outfit.
Lace bell sleeves.
Yeah, okay. So
past the elbow.
Yeah, they start at the elbow, and they're white. They start at the elbow, and they look to be a row of roses, and then a row of open diamonds, and then another row of roses, and a row of open diamonds, and then another row of roses.
Yeah. So possibly not lace, but crochet?
Maybe? It's a little hard to describe, but, it didn't look horrible. It just looked weird.
It looked weird on a jean jacket.
Yeah.
It would look better on a sweater.
Yeah, or even on, a black jacket.
True.
I think it was the denim that was throwing me off.
Denim.
Yes. But, for a moment, I had thought that the sleeves of the shirt that she had been wearing just before this had those sleeves, and I'm like, I literally went back to look at the sleeves of the outfit that she had been wearing, the pink patterned top with the pink lace trim. It had little cap sleeves, so it wasn't even close to having these long sleeves. But that was my first thought, was that she had changed her shirt to this thing with sleeves and then put a denim jacket over top, and I was like, oh wait, no, those are attached to the jacket. Okay.
Oh, early aughts fashion.
Yeah. Anyway,
Phoebe is upset that Cole just wants to disappear again, but he says he's willing to do that to keep her safe.
She says that she needs to be kept sane and that she doesn't want to lose him again.
Cole says that a demon knows, or at least suspects, that he's still alive, which is why they killed the landlady, and that they'll kill anyone they have to in order to find him.
Phoebe says that he can't leave because they have to stop whoever is after him before they hurt someone else or him.
And then Cole takes Phoebe's hands and says that it's his battle, and he'll handle it.
He starts to walk away, but she calls after him, so of course he stops and turns around. She says that she loves him and she's willing to fight a couple of extra demons, and that seems to make him smile.
He says that they have no idea what they're dealing with, and that he has no clue what the shadow thing could be.
Phoebe hugs him and says that they'll figure it out together, because while it won't bring Mrs. Owens back, avenging an innocent feels pretty damn good.
And he hugs her a little tighter.
Yeah.
So we cut to Prue in the car, in the rain, at night. She pulls up behind a motorcycle that is just behind Reese's car.
Now, it makes me wonder, we were at the mausoleum just a second ago, and it was still bright out. We now cut to Prue, and it's nighttime. How long was she following them, and where did they go? This is what I would like to know. I understand
on
that...
the 405?
I understand that for time constraints and plot reasons, whatever, we don't need to know where they went and what they did. But,
they took a detour up Lakeshore Drive. That took a while because
they came all... I was gonna say, they came all the way to Chicago to take Lakeshore Drive?
Yeah, sure. Only LSD trip I've been on.
Mm-hmm, same. But yeah, that was my biggest question on this. What time were they at the mausoleum? What time did all of this happen? That, it's now nighttime. I understand that they're trying to make it, scary and whatever because it's nighttime. But, Reese must not be a very good cop if he couldn't tell that someone was tailing him for hours. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was my thought process on it.
Well, he is a DA investigator. He's not
I guess so,
per se.
But
he's not a detective. Exactly. But yes, basically, while you're wondering about this, all I'm doing here is just hand-wavy motions. Because that's all it is. It's just hand-wavy.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Hand-wavy.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my only thought.
Yeah.
Was how does he not realize he's being tailed for hours?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we cut inside Reese's car, and the woman who has added a tan jacket to her outfit is looking through the photos that she took. She finally gets a name in this scene, Andrea, so let me tell you about her. The actress is Michaela Watkins. She was born in 1971 in Syracuse, New York. She started acting in 1998, with this episode of Charmed being her second gig. She had a 15-episode run on Saturday Night Live from 2008 to 2009, playing characters like Joan Rivers and Barbara Walters, as well as various other things. And she is still acting, and she is also, apparently, a stand-up comedian. I will, of course, link to her IMDb and Wiki pages.
I feel like I've heard her name before.
Possibly.
Anyway.
If you watched Saturday Night Live, I'm sure you did.
I don't think that's where I've heard it.
Don't know.
But anyway, Andrea says that unless Reese considers hot pink pedicures subversive, she doesn't see anything suspicious and wonders why he thinks these women might be murderers.
He tells her to just keep doing her job, and she says that while she might be a rookie, she has the right to know what she's looking for.
He says that he doesn't even know what he's looking for, but that he needs her to keep her distance and keep following Phoebe.
She tells him that he should take the night off and get some sleep, which he refuses to do, like a jerk. And he tells her to put the photos on his desk, and then she can go home for the night.
So she tries to say something, but he tells her it's an order, so she says her goodbyes and gets out of the car.
And she uses the folder filled with the photos to, cover her head from the rain. It was kind of funny. And then as she runs off, Prue opens her door, gets out of the car, and we cut to Cole's old apartment.
Right as Cole and Phoebe duck under some police tape placed across the door and walk in, and that's not how you seal off
That is not scene. Even remotely how you seal off a crime scene.
No, you've got this tape that you have to cut open.
Yeah. You tape the door shut, and you put the police tape in a big X so that you can't get through it. You put it in an X and 2 lines across so that you can't just walk over it.
Anyway, Phoebe sees a bloodstain on the carpet, and Cole shuts the door.
He tells her to try not to touch anything so as not to leave fingerprints, and she asks about wanting to get a premonition.
He tells her, very sensibly, use the back of your hand.
Yep, which she does as she starts touching random things around the room as Cole looks around. He goes into the bedroom and she follows.
She asks if he found something, but he says that it's just strange to be back in the apartment, and she agrees.
Yeah. He tells her that this was the place that he had his first taste of normal life, when he'd wake up next to her and not feel evil, and that he wanted it so much that he'd started to believe his own lie.
She says that it's not a lie anymore. They can have a life together by taking out all the bad guys in their way. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sweet.
And then she touches the door of the altar and has a premonition of the two demons killing Reese, in a room filled with what looked to be like white statues and white marble all over the place, and Prue standing nearby but turning away.
Mm-hmm. She comes out of the premonition and tells Cole about what she saw.
She says that the demons had vampire teeth and they floated, which Cole immediately knows to mean that they are seekers. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to vanquish them, so Phoebe has to hope that the Book of Shadows does, and they head off. Inside Reese's office, Andrea walks in holding the soaked envelope, and as she closes the door and turns toward the desk, she gets startled by one of the seekers sitting in the dark. I do believe this is your Mo.
Yeah.
The thinner one.
Yes.
Yeah. But she does the startle motion just a second too soon. It was a little odd. Like, she closes the door and as she's turning gets startled before she even really sees him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the timing was just slightly off.
Well, I'd probably do that too, because periphery.
Maybe. I don't know.
I have really active peripheral vision. It's very annoying. Like, when I go bowling, the convention is to not go at the same time as the person in the lane right next to you, but I have to wait an extra lane, like, because it'll just distract me while I'm doing it, and distraction is not good when I want to bowl.
I haven't been bowling in so long.
It's so much fun.
We should go bowling.
We should. There's a bowling alley down the street.
Anyway, sure.
So Andrea asks if he's waiting for Inspector Davidson. He asks if she knows where he is, as Curly floats down to the ground behind her.
He had apparently been hiding on the ceiling.
Uh-huh. Because remember, this is a soundstage. The ceiling is not 9 feet tall. It's more like 40.
Yes, and I was immediately had the song Dancing in the Ceiling play through my head because my brain.
I had It's Raining Men.
There you go. That song, if taken literally, is one of the scariest songs on the face of the earth.
Uh-huh. Well, if you follow it by Let the Bodies Hit the Floor,
yeah. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
she gets startled again by that guy behind her, says she doesn't know where Davidson is, and Mo leans in and asks if she's sure.
We then cut outside the office as Prue is walking down the hallway, and she hears a scream.
More of a yell, really.
We cut back inside the office as Andrea falls to the floor. The seeker at the desk, our Mo,
asks Curly what she
seeker
knew, which is apparently nothing, which makes Mo realize that Davidson must know something.
Right. Prue then uses her power to knock the door down. Like, she blasts it into two pieces.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and went, that's new. Like, I don't think she's used her power in that specific way before. Like, she's
very pissed.
Yeah, like, she's opened a door before. She's knocked a door off the hinges. I don't think she's ever blasted a door into two pieces before.
Again, she's super pissed.
Mm-hmm. The Seekers disappear by fading out in an upward motion.
Yeah, it was like a combo fade, dissolve, bubble.
Yeah, but it went in an upward motion, which was a little odd.
They turned a little, like, transparent blue as they were doing it.
Oh, I couldn't tell that.
Oh, it looked like a water effect, kind of like.
Okay.
Like if you were to obscure something by making a bunch of bubbles come up in front of it, that's what it kind of looked like to me.
And it was like a bluish.
Yeah, it looked bluish.
Oh, interesting.
I know you.
I was gonna say I couldn't tell that because I can't pause on that to find that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting thought. But it was the fact that these are demons and they went in an upward motion, which was weirding me out.
Well, their mass wasn't going in an upward motion. It was just that they were disappearing from foot to head.
Yeah.
It wasn't like orbing upward.
Right.
Their entire body, like, there was no effect that they were going upward. It was just the disappearing motion started from their feet and went up.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the shimmer goes sideways.
Yeah.
And the blinking just goes.
Yep.
And come to think of it, the astral projection thing goes when like Prue appears, it's from the inside out,
Right.
and then when she disappears, it's from the outside back in.
Right.
So like all of the, I like how they distinguish all of these like travel effects.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had to come up with all of them.
And had to have sounds for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Prue then notices the black shadow floating above Andrea. She tries to use her power on it, and then it changes into a man.
A man with nice hair.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's beyond her powers and that it's time. And then Andrea's spirit starts glowing and comes up out of her body.
Yes, lovely, like, white glow. Prue asks who he is. He says that he's death and that he'll be back.
And then Andrea's spirit, after taking his hand, kind of gets absorbed into him, and then he disappears via the previous shadowy effect that we have seen before.
Correct. Death is played by Simon Templeman. He is a British actor who's been acting since 1980. He's done a lot of single episodes of TV shows and voices in video games. His longest gig was a 63-episode voice run for a character called Trevor Noseworthy IV in an animated TV show that only had a single season of 65 episodes back in 91-92.
That's a lot of episodes.
Mm-hmm. The show is called James Bond Jr. and was the adventures of James Bond's nephew. What? I don't understand how that works.
It doesn't.
Because James Bond Jr., unless James Bond had a brother named James Bond... Junior does not work if it's your nephew. I'm just saying.
No, it doesn't.
That is not how that works. Anyway, I will link to Simon's IMDb page as well as the IMDb and wiki pages for James Bond Jr. because it's fucking funny.
Was the nephew actually named James Bond Jr.?
I don't know, but I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can only see that if it's like thematically he's little James Bond, but he's not actually James Bond.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, we go to commercial break, and when we come back...
Phoebe is sitting on the couch, sans jacket, flipping through the Book of Shadows in the living room. Cole is sitting on the back corner of the couch, still in his jacket, behind her.
She finds the Seekers in the book, learning how they gather their info, which makes Cole realize that his landlady must have talked to Inspector Davidson about him, and asks if the book has anything about demons taking on shadow form.
Phoebe says that all it has is a vanquish for the Seekers, and then asks if he wants to see it. She starts to hand the book to Cole,
who recoils from it.
Like, he stands up and takes a step back, and reminds her that the last time he touched the book, it electrocuted him. And technically Prue electrocuted him with some crystals, but still.
Correct.
It's warranted.
Right. She reminds him that the last time his intentions were evil, and thinks that it should be okay now that he's trying to be good.
He still thinks it's better safe than sorry, and sits back down.
Yeah. Prue then comes in asking for the book, and then notices Cole and asks why he's so close to the book.
Yeah, he assures her that he's keeping his distance, and Phoebe asks for a pardon on the potential understatement of a cliche, because Prue looks like she's seen a ghost.
Yep. Prue says that she lost her innocent, which Cole thinks means Davidson, but she says that it was his assistant. And then she says that Andrea was out of her sight for like 2 seconds, and they got her. Phoebe shows her the book, asking if that's who she saw, and Prue confirms that it was, because we are shown the book, and there is a drawing in there of kind of these two Seekers. Like, they're vaguely similar looking, but they aren't, like, exact, which makes me happy, actually, that they were, like, vaguely similar in the way that you know that Seekers usually work in pairs, and it's like a Laurel and Hardy situation. It's usually a thin one and a fat one, you know? Which isn't completely true. But, you know, like, it's just, like, that's how I thought of it. It's like they were just generic picture enough that it didn't look like these are the two guys exactly. Which I think is...
It would have been suspicious.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest annoyance, I think, with most of the drawings in the Book of Shadows. Especially when it's like, this is a group of people. And then it shows the exact one that they noticed that is after them. Like, that's what annoys me.
Mm-hmm.
Is the pictures are usually a little too specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's just, you know, maybe just me.
Yeah.
Just saying. If you also feel that way, that you think the pictures are just a little too specific, please.
Like, it makes sense
let me know.
For the shit that's not, where it's just like a single specific thing, like, oh, Balthazar, he's notorious.
Right, exactly.
You have that. Or like, here's what a banshee looks like, and they all follow the same general form.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Or, like, there's, I don't know, like, there's been other things where it was like, what's his face? Valentine? Steve Valentine?
Yeah.
No. Was that his
Yeah.
Steve? Okay, great. I love that I got it. Where, like, he's a very notorious specific person as well, so gotta
Right,
keep
because
track of him.
it was in the book specifically about him.
Yeah.
But it's when it's like, you know, these are the seekers or these are the collectors or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're showing a picture that it's exactly the
These are
ones
the
that...
Guardians. This is the Council. We have so many generic names.
Exactly, but it shows a hand-drawn drawing of the exact person that's come after you.
What a lovely watercolor.
It's a little weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Phoebe says that they are demonic lie detectors, but no one survives their test.
Cole gets up, again, thinking that he should just deal with this himself, but Phoebe gets up and reminds him that he doesn't know how to vanquish them.
Prue then mentions that the Seekers aren't the only evil in town, meaning the Shadow, and then calls for Leo.
Leo and Piper orb in, and Leo is holding a lamp made of white crystals,
That looks like an artichoke.
a little bit, which was apparently a wedding present. Leo grins, but Piper does not look impressed, and she thinks it's too bright.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit bright, don't you
Yeah,
think?
she does that smile that's not a smile.
Yeah. And I looked at it and going, you know, it actually
No, it's
wasn't
not.
that bright.
No, it's not.
Like, it could have been brighter.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bright. Anyway.
You can see color variation in the crystals. It's not that bright.
Yeah. Prue asks Leo if there's such a thing as the Angel of Death, which I don't know where she got that from, because dude just said he was death, but whatever. He says there is, and she says that she met him when he took Andrea. And again, she doesn't call her by name.
Yeah.
Just
She says that Death said he'd be back, thinking he means to get Davidson, but Cole says that he's not working with the demons.
Leo agrees, saying that the Angel of Death isn't evil.
Prue ignores this actually good advice and says that he has to be evil. Since she can see him, that must mean she has to stop him.
Leo says that she can't stop him because the Angel of Death always gets what he comes for.
But Prue says that she needs to get Davidson and bring him back to the manor and protect him.
Piper realizes that by Davidson, Prue means the DA investigator, and that they can't protect him without letting him in on their secret.
Prue knows, but doesn't care, and says she can't stand by and let Death take him.
Phoebe then brings up her premonition, saying that Prue turns her back on Davidson when the demons attack.
Prue thinks that doesn't make any sense, so Phoebe must be wrong, and says that she's tired of losing innocence.
And
She
then
asks her for Davidson's card, and Phoebe leaves the room to get it.
I do think that was very funny. She
Yeah.
goes, "You still have his card, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, all right, fine," and walks away. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Piper and Leo look at each other. Leo is smiling and Piper is not. And Cole excuses himself and walks out of the room into the foyer and kind of looks at himself in the mirror for a second and then shimmers out.
And we cut over to Reese's office as paramedics cover Andrea's body with a sheet.
An inspector is talking to Reese. This inspector is played by Jeffrey Patrick Dean and only has 8 acting credits between 1999 and 2001, and he has no picture on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
But
So this
there
was
you go.
just a brief side hustle.
Yeah.
Reese is telling the inspector that he was trying to protect Andrea, but he should have warned her and told her everything.
The inspector tries to get more info out of him, but Reese says that he's going to take down the man who killed Andrea.
And then his pager goes off and he gets up to answer it.
We pan across the room to see the Seekers standing in the background. And
And
nobody paying any attention to
They
them.
must be like under some kind of invisible thing because they walk in front of like a CSI.
Yeah.
And the dude doesn't even fucking notice.
Yeah, nobody paying any attention to any
Yeah.
of them. So they had to have been under some sort of cloaking something.
Yeah. Anyway, Reese walks down the hallway and around a corner and bumps into Cole,
Literally.
who tells him to forget about the Halliwells and he'll tell him everything he wants to know.
But Cole says that they're not safe where they are and goes to touch Reese's shoulder, but Reese like pushes him away and
tries to tell him that he's under arrest, but Cole tells him to wait and like cocks his head a little and is listening. And then as Reese is confused, Cole grabs him and they shimmer out just before the two Seekers walk around the corner.
yeah. And they kind of stop in the exact spot that was, you know, that they had shimmered out from. And they can sense that Balthazar's alive.
Mm-hmm. They smell it because they're Seekers.
Yep. We then cut to the mausoleum as Cole and Reese shimmer in, and Reese falls to the floor, not used to the effects of shimmering. You know.
Yeah. Cole tells him to breathe,
Yeah.
And apologizes and says that they might be able to track him.
But they'll have a hard time sensing him in the cemetery. Reese is freaking out. Cole is trying to calm him down, and Reese asks what he is.
Cole says he's the one who just saved his life, and Reese freaks out again and backs away.
Cole says that if he were a murderer, he'd have killed him by now, and Reese begs to be let go in the vein of a horror movie of, I won't tell anyone.
Yeah,
You know, that never works.
Or like a mafia thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, he says he'll just walk away, but Cole says he can't let Reese leave because the demons might get to him and realize they can kill Phoebe to get to him, and that can't happen. Right. Phoebe to get to Cole, rather.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm like, then why would you fucking say that?
I know. Reese then asks what he means by demon, and so Cole kind of leans in and says he's not using it as a metaphor, which I thought was by far one of the best ways to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, when I say demon, I don't mean it as a metaphor. I'm talking literal fucking demons here, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we cut over to the manor. Leo places the glowy crystal artichoke on a table, and Piper walks up to him, shaking her head like, no, like, there's no way that's going there.
Yeah. But is it wrong that I kind of like that?
No, it's fine.
Like, I kind of like the little crystal artichoke loopy thing.
It's cute.
I enjoy it a lot, actually. Anyway, Prue is waiting near the phone, realizing that Davidson isn't answering her page, so something must have happened.
Phoebe comes down the stairs saying that Cole's gone, which she knows because she's looked everywhere for him.
They realize that he must have gone to Davidson to protect him, so they need to go get him, and Phoebe says that he's probably at the mausoleum, because Cole is nothing if not predictable at this point in time. Piper wonders if that's where Phoebe's premonition took place, and she says that it might be, and they start heading toward the door. And this is where, in my thought process, I was like, is Phoebe just lying to her sister? Or was the premonition so fuzzy in her brain that she thinks that this might actually be Cole's mausoleum? Because they look nothing alike.
I think that's probably a writer thing, where they just forgot what Cole's mausoleum looked like, or maybe they don't actually watch it, they don't look at it, so they're just like, oh, mausoleum, blah, blah, blah. Mausoleum, I've all seen them.
Yeah, because Cole's mausoleum did not have marble fucking statues.
Nope, and it wasn't well lit.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of dust.
Well lit and bright white everything. Like, no, no. Anyway, Prue realizes that she could get there faster via astral projection, but Leo asks what would happen if the demons show up because they need the power of 3 spell to vanquish them.
She says that she won't vanquish, just protect, and try to get Reese out of there.
Phoebe tries to say something, but Prue assures her that the premonition isn't going to come true and Death's not going to win this fight. We then cut to the mausoleum.
Cole pushes Reese against the wall. Reese yells for him to stay away, and Cole says he's not going to hurt him in a very aggressive, threatening voice.
Yup. The Seekers then appear and call Cole Balthazar.
He tries to play dumb, but they tell him that they felt his shimmer.
He tells them to leave Davidson out of it, and one of them says that they don't need him anymore since now they have Balthazar.
And the other realizes that the human might know something Balthazar doesn't want them to know, so they start floating toward him. At this point, Prue astrals in and asks if he needs help.
Yeah, she literally shows up standing right next to Cole.
Mm-hmm.
He asks what she's doing there, and she winks at him.
Reese then continues to freak out and asks how she got there. What is going on?
Yeah. And one of the Seekers mentions that he's surprised that the mighty Balthazar is in bed with a witch.
And Prue's really grossed out by that
Yeah,
thought.
she's just like, ew. Which I thought was the best reaction.
Yeah. Reese tries to run away, in between them, but was this Curly?
Curly.
But Curly throws him into a wall.
Yeah. Cole then tackles the other one through a pillar, and Prue kicks Curly, and he flies into a cement statue.
Yeah, there's a lot of breaking. I was like, damn, this isn't house furniture.
Nope.
So the shadow appears beside Reese and then becomes the Angel of Death.
One of the Seekers holds Cole to the ground, he calls out for Prue, and then they both jump on him, and they both bear fangs.
Mm-hmm. Prue calls Death a miserable coward and tries to punch and kick him, but, there's not any sound.
Yeah, there's no sound.
Of anything other than, her movement. Normally when there's a oh, it's passing, like, through something, like a ghost or whatever, like, you get a weird sound effect.
Yeah, like a whooshy sound.
Yeah, a little whoosh, because ectoplasm or whatever the fuck. But there's nothing.
There's nothing. Her attacks go right through his body, and then we see Cole look toward her, and it looks like she's punching nothing, because he can't see the Angel of Death.
He calls out for her again, she stops trying to attack. Death says he never loses, and it's Davidson's time. She doesn't like that answer, of course, so she tries to punch and kick him again.
Cole finally pushes the Seekers off of him and looks over at Prue, and since he can't see Death, it still looks like she's fighting air. He tries to fling a couple of lightning balls at the Seekers, but they disappear.
And he kind of collapses back on the ground.
With Prue's foot in the air in the middle of a kick, Death disappears.
And she just kind of holds her foot there.
Yeah, she looks around, slightly confused, and Cole looks at her, slightly confused, and then she goes over to Davidson on the ground, and we go to commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, we're back in the manor. Leo places the lamp on yet another different table, and Piper stands behind him, and she says that she's annoyed, basically, by the lamp being so bright.
Leo says it's supposed to represent the light of eternal love, which Piper realizes means they can never turn it off.
And Phoebe jokes that at the rate they're going, they'll turn it off in record time.
Piper says that she just doesn't think it would be good in the living room.
Leo mentions she also doesn't think it belongs in the parlor, dining room, or foyer, and then Piper tries to get Phoebe to weigh in.
She, however, is not an idiot and says nothing about it.
Yeah, she's staying out of it. As she starts to express concern about other things, we hear a whooshing sound, and Cole and Prue walk in.
Cole is carrying Reese and arguing with Prue. As Cole lays Reese on the couch, he says that he could have used some help fighting the Seekers, since he wouldn't revert to his demon form.
Prue says that she was saving Davidson, which Cole disagrees with, and Phoebe asks what happened and if Davidson is okay.
Cole says that the Seekers were waiting for Davidson at the courthouse, and Prue says they tracked Cole to the mausoleum.
Leo wonders how Cole knows that they haven't tracked him to the manor, and he says that the Seekers retreated, and they have to be close to a shimmer to track it. Phoebe then questions this, of like, you know, they retreated, and Prue's like, yeah, I kicked ass. And
Cole says,
like,
no, you kicked air. And she says
like,
that she was fighting the Angel of Death, and obviously won.
Obviously.
Leo's like, sweetie, that's not possible.
And she says that Davidson is alive, so, you know, it has to be, right?
Right?
Cole then reminds her that the Seekers will be back, and they'll be looking for both of them now.
He also mentions that they don't know how to find them, and Prue says that they know Davidson is the key to finding them.
Cole is still annoyed that she didn't help him, and she says that he's not exactly the poster boy for teamwork.
But Piper reminds him that he was supposed to stay with them.
Right. He says that he was trying to protect them, and Prue reminds him that no matter how dangerous Davidson is to them, that Cole is more dangerous.
And he kind of misunderstands this. He's like, no, I've proved myself. And Phoebe's like, no, sweetie, that's not what she means.
Yeah.
Because you're a part of our lives, you know almost everything about us.
Right. He realizes that if the Seekers get him, they could find out enough to destroy the girls, and that's when Leo decides that he should finally go talk to the elders.
Mm-hmm. Reese starts to wake up and we sees Leo orb out.
Yeah, we get POV from underneath Leo, which is supposed to be Reese's POV, and all we see is Leo staring at Reese, like staring down, and then just orbs out, and Reese freaks out.
Prue tries to tell him that he just hit his head, and she kind of like points to her head.
Yeah.
And he jumps off the couch, pulls out his gun, because they didn't disarm him. And says like, that whatever he just saw wasn't because he hit his head.
Yeah. Prue tries to assure him that they're on his side, that they're the good guys, but he does not believe her, and he starts circling the room to get to the door. Cole, being ever the demon, says they can't let him leave.
Reese is all, try and stop me.
With like the gun in hand, like he cocks the gun.
Yeah, and Cole says, you're in a room with 3 witches and a demon. I don't think the gun's gonna help you.
It was by far one of the most intimidating, non-intimidating moments.
It was. Yeah, Prue says that, of course, the Angel of Death is after him, so they have to protect him. But Davidson says he's not afraid of death.
He is, however, afraid of Cole. Cole, like, takes a step toward him, and Reese just runs outside. Phoebe tries to say something, but he reminds her that Davidson can expose them, and Piper reminds him that they don't kidnap cops and hold them against their will.
Phoebe says that they do follow them and protect them against their will, though.
Yep. She tells Cole to stay in the manor while they go after Davidson, much to his annoyance.
Piper tells him not to shimmer, to lock the door behind them, and then looks to Prue.
Prue tells them to go ahead because the demons are just pawns, so she's going to go over their heads. And Piper and Phoebe leave. We then get that lovely sunrise scene with the sun coming up behind the buildings and the fishing pole leaning against the chain fence. And then we do a 360 around Prue on the beach, speaking a spell to bring the angel of death to her. The spell is as follows. Spirits of air, sand, and sea converge to set the angel free. In the wind I send this rhyme. Bring death before me, before my time. It's actually kind of an interesting spell.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. Anyway, he appears after a second.
Moment, yeah.
And asks if she really wanted him. She kind of hesitates, and that makes him ask her what she wants. He starts asking about who he could have taken from her, starting with husband, going to brother, and then landing on mother, which gets a reaction out of Prue, and she tries to change the subject to Reese.
He says that she didn't call him about Reese, but that she's mad about her mother dying.
He then starts to try and figure out how old she was when Mummy died, saying that she thinks of saving Davidson will beat him somehow and give her a win.
She tells him to go away, but he says that she wanted him, so now she's got him, and that she's wasting time.
She apologizes, but he says that she's wasting her time, not his, and that her refusal to accept him for what he is keeps her from mourning him.
Yep, she's all, you don't know me, but he says that he's seen the anger and pain before, and that she locks away all of her emotions as if he was the ultimate evil. She says that he is the ultimate evil, and he says that he's neither good nor evil, he's just inevitable.
And he just is.
Mm-hmm.
She asks what she can do to save Davidson. He says there's nothing she can do. She says she can't let an innocent man die, but he says she has no choice. And that until she learns to accept that, she'll keep missing the bigger picture.
She wonders what that could be. He holds out his hand and says that he'll show her, and she's reluctant to take it, but he tells her that it's not her time just yet. And then she takes his hand, and they disappear into black shadow.
Yes.
We cut to the cemetery, where Andrea's funeral is happening. So, since there's a quick turnaround on the funeral, I assume she must be Jewish.
And then we do hear, first, a prayer from the Bible being read in English and then in Hebrew as we pan across to see lots of dudes in yarmulkes and a rabbi.
So I was right. Jewish.
Yeah.
The rabbi reading the prayer is played by Roger Marks. He only has 17 acting credits between 1995 and 2014, and 8 of those are rabbi, with only 2 of them being not some sort of blatant Jewish character just by the name. His first role was Junkyard Man, and his last role was Man, which I think is just hilarious. He also has no picture on IMDb, but he is very Jewish looking in this. He's got the big beard and the hat and the whatever. He was every bit the rabbi in this episode. I will link to the wiki page for bereavement in Judaism because I think that it is a truly interesting thing to read. Since the only funerals that I've ever been to have been Jewish ones, I know and have done many of the customs written on that page, and it's fascinating. I like it.
I just finished a book that recently came out by Mary Robinette Kowal called The Calculating Stars.
Okay.
And it's like an alternate history from the 50s about a meteor striking DC.
Interesting.
And kicking off the beginnings of like an extinction event. And so they have to kickstart the space race.
Okay.
And women are involved. So this is from the perspective of a woman who is a calculator, or a computer, rather.
Okay.
And like a pilot and everything, and also she's Jewish.
Okay.
And her family, like, lived in DC.
Okay.
But yeah, like, the first thing that happens after, like, they kind of recover, is she has to, like, go to the synagogue and sit Shiva for, like, all of her fucking family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And there's a really funny bit, because I listened to the audiobook first, where she has to explain how her Jewish family that's been in the South for a really, really long time speaks Yiddish. It's hilarious.
All right.
It's really fucking funny, because the author reads it herself, and the author is Southern. I don't know if she's Jewish, possibly, But either way, it's real funny.
Yiddish with a southern accent.
Yiddish with a southern accent.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. Carolina southern, too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Very.
I will have to at least see if I can find that bit of the audio.
Okay.
Just because hearing Yiddish with a southern accent.
Well, if I knew where it was in the audio book, I might be able to clip it out, but I'm not sure. I could look in the book because I got the physical book.
Interesting.
Because I did that.
Of course you did.
Uh-huh. But yeah, the next book in the series is coming out in August. And
Nice.
I'm very happy.
Very cool. So maybe by the time this episode goes out, it'll already be out. I don't know.
August 18th. Because
Anyway.
the entire series is called The Lady Astronaut.
Nice. Anyway, so we cut to Piper's car, which is parked nearby in the cemetery. Phoebe is on her cell phone with Cole, and she has put her jacket back on. Piper has added a black leather jacket to her outfit.
And we cut back and forth between her in the car and him in the manor during the call. We learn that while Phoebe and Piper have been sitting in the car for 16 hours watching Davidson, that Prue left and hasn't been back.
She says that there's been no sign of demons and starts to tell Cole about the funeral, but decides against it. And then tells him to let Prue know to call them when she gets back, if she gets back. Tells him that she loves him, and then hangs up on him. And Cole
is somewhat annoyed about being hung up on.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
The girls then try to figure out their next plan. Piper says that they can't crash the funeral, so they'll just have to watch from the car, and Phoebe doesn't understand why someone who knows death is after them would go to a cemetery.
Personally, I think it's the perfect place to hide out, because Death has already done his part by the time you're at the cemetery. Just saying.
Yeah.
We cut back to the funeral as the Seekers walk over to Reese. He decides to go with them as long as they leave the rest of the people there alone, and he walks off and they follow.
We cut over to the car as Piper notices the Seekers following Reese. They get out and head in that direction, and then we see Reese from a very low POV shot.
Yeah.
Walking toward a large white building with pillars and grating on the door.
Yeah.
Hey, look. It's a mausoleum.
Yes, it's a very opulent mausoleum as opposed to a family mausoleum. We see him walk into the building with the Seekers behind him, and it is very large, it's ornate, there are marble statues and flower vases with white calla lilies and marble floors and white walls, and you can see that there are many, there's a couple of different corridors with spots in them for people.
Yeah.
My brain stopped and couldn't think of the word there.
Alcoves? No.
No. It's not a plot, because the plot is outside.
Yeah.
Where I don't know. There's
cabinets?
No.
Well, there's all, the squares, the rectangles on the wall with the names and the vases.
Yeah, there's the dead people in the walls is basically what it is.
Uh-huh.
I just, for some reason, my brain isn't thinking of the word at the moment. That's all right. It happens.
Shelves.
Yeah. Anyway, one
cubby
of the
holes. I'm going to call them cubby holes.
Cubby holes. All right, sure. One of the Seekers closes the door and then puts a candle snuffer through the handles. Because,
a really long candle snuffer for all those tall-ass candles.
Yep. It's one that has the wick lighter on the other side.
Yeah.
Piper and Phoebe arrive outside, but they can't get in because of said candle snuffer through the handles.
And then Reese he's facing away from them toward the back of the room. He takes a deep breath and then pulls out his gun and shoots at the Seekers. And we see lovely effect of just dry
squibs.
Dry squibs.
Yeah, the
punching
bullets,
through their suits and shit.
They get shot.
Yeah.
But the bullets go right on through them. It breaks the vases behind them and makes the girls duck for cover outside, which I thought was kind of funny.
The Seekers are completely unharmed, and then Reese runs out of bullets.
Yeah, except, their clothes are a bit ruined now.
Yeah. The girls cry out for him to run, but then Curly floats in behind Reese. And then Mo asks him where Balthazar is, which, of course, confuses Reese.
Yeah, because he has no idea who they're talking about, even though he heard that name earlier, but he was too busy freaking out to process it. And
then just as Prue and Death appear in the corner, kind of off to the side from the door, the Seeker bites Reese's neck.
Prue gasps and looks away just like she did in Phoebe's premonition, and Death says that it's his time, just like it was her mother's time. And then Phoebe and Piper see that Prue is inside and call out to her to open the gate.
Death tells Prue to stop fighting him, the Seekers disappear, and then Phoebe and Piper look on helplessly from outside as Prue cries.
Death walks over to Reese, his spirit rises from his body, gets absorbed into Death, and Death disappears. And we go to commercial break. It was a weird moment.
Yeah.
Because in this moment, like, I know that she's annoyed that she didn't get to save his life, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's not like she got there in time to actually save him.
Yeah.
Like, even if she had tried to fling one of the Seekers away at that point, using her power...
Brainstem was punctured.
Yeah, he was already bit. I don't know.
So then
come back from the commercial.
Somehow Piper and Phoebe have jiggled the candle snuffer apart and they get inside.
Yeah, I still don't know exactly how they get inside because it's on a la convenience. Because, like...
It's probably just not a very sturdy candle snuffer.
Right, but the way that it was through... Like, they must have just jiggled the door enough that they, like, were able to make it fall out of one of the holes.
No. Because the way they put it in, it's a very long stick. So most of the balance is going to be right where the brass cap that has the candle snuffer meets the handle.
Right.
So if they jiggle that enough, they can get it to come out from the handle, which will then unbalance the entire thing.
Right.
So as before, where the hooky bits were holding it by gravity... This would not happen. It would then tip back and then fall out.
Yeah, and as long as it falls out of one of the holes, then they're good.
Well, I mean, it was just like the barred handle, so as long as it falls out of the handles, it's good.
Right, but as long as it gets out of at least one of them, then they can open the door.
True. But it does fall out of both of them.
Right. Anyway, doesn't really matter. We're just speculating.
I'm just explaining some physics to you.
Yep. They ask if Prue is okay. She says she doesn't know. They ask if the demons did something to her. She says no. They ask how she got there, and she says that Death brought her, and she doesn't really understand it herself.
Piper asks how she could just let him die. Prue says it was his time, that she wanted to save him but couldn't, and Piper says she didn't even try. Prue apologizes, and then kneels down beside Reese's dead body, grabs his hand, and cries.
Yep, she repeats, I'm so sorry, a few times. Mm-hmm. And this is where, again, it's the Piper says she didn't even try. She literally got there as he was getting bit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Anyway,
we cut to an exterior night shot of the manor.
The phone rings, and Cole walks into the foyer to answer it.
A Seeker then appears in front of him, and Cole asks if he's ever heard of a doorbell. But he says that they thought they'd surprise him, and then the other Seeker... jumps on top of Cole.
Like, there's a great shot.
From a spot.
He's crouching up on the stairs. Like, apparently, there's a bit on the banister that goes up and has, like, a big-ass shelf or something.
Yeah, there was, like, a corner shelf in the corner attached to nothing.
Yeah.
It was just a randomly huge corner shelf.
And he's, like, crouching
close
down.
to the ceiling.
And then, legitimately, what Curly does is he pulls up his hand and goes, ha! And then jumps.
Yeah, it was
very, like...
gargoyle.
Parodic Nosferatu.
My first instinct was gargoyle. The way he was sitting on this, like, weird shelf thing was just like...
Mine was that
gargoyle.
one movie where Leslie Martin was a vampire. Leslie Martin? I don't know.
Leslie Nielsen?
That might be his last name? I don't know, but he plays a vampire in a, like, Dracula parody.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
Okay, yeah, that's him.
The dude from Airplane.
Yes, that dude.
Yeah.
So, let's go now. Let's see what this movie was. Because I want to remember.
I think, I want to say, Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yes,
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks.
Yep.
Gotta be a Mel Brooks.
Yep. But yeah, that's what that reminded me. It reminded me of Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yep. I love Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
He's crazy and I enjoy him.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so Cole gets jumped on, the answering machine picks up, and we cut to the car where Phoebe has called the house and is leaving a message.
She tells Cole to pick up the phone and decides that he should just get out of the manor altogether and then hangs up.
Yeah. Prue asks if she should astral there, but Piper thinks they should stick together.
Phoebe tells her to go faster, which she does, and then almost gets into a car crash when someone who's turning left, like, tries to get in between her and the car in front of her.
Yeah, it was one of those where, like, the car crash that she almost got into was not her fault.
No.
And would not have been her fault.
No.
It was absolutely another car coming at her.
A misjudging distance.
Yeah.
We cut back to the manor. Cole hits a Seeker with a lamp and falls into the table. It's that marble top table in the foyer that keeps getting hit, usually by Cole.
Yeah. That brings our furniture annihilation quotient up to 13 for the season and 39 for the series. Then a seeker jumps on Cole, knocking him into a wall and tries to bite him.
Cole pushes Mo off, and Mo, does this lovely, slide.
Slow-mo bat.
Well, it's almost slow-mo.
It wasn't
it's
actual slow-mo,
it's
but...
wire work.
Yeah.
Because he, does the arm pinwheel, and then does this, supernatural kind of, balance grab.
Yeah, like mini Matrix kind of thing.
And then Cole tries to zap him, but he dodges the electricity balls with the same, smooth, movement.
Whoosh, whoosh. Yeah,
and the first...
Because he catches himself. He almost falls into the furniture. We almost get another furniture annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
But he catches himself.
Don't worry, we'll get another one in a sec, because second lightning ball... Well, first lightning ball destroys a painting and sets it on fire. Second lightning ball gets this, A-frame square bookshelf.
Yeah. That brings our furniture annihilation quotient up to 14 for the season and 40 for the series.
And then...
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Curly, who just went through the table, jumps on Cole again, and they crash into a bookcase.
Which brings our furniture annihilation quotient up to 15 for the season and 41 for the series. Cole is knocked unconscious, and the one on top of him, which I believe was Curly, starts to bend over to bite him just as the girls walk in. Because, of course.
Phoebe's gasp distracts Curly. Prue uses her powers on him, sending him toward a table that slides but doesn't quite break.
Mm-hmm.
And then Phoebe hits the other seeker in the face, and Prue kicks Curly in the stomach.
Yeah.
Piper helps Cole up, which, is that the first time, Piper's helped Cole with anything?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Piper helps Cole up as Prue continues to kick the seeker, and Cole, who is now awake, calls out to Prue, and when she spins around, he just says, "Don't." And then Prue joins Piper and Phoebe.
And they recite a spell.
Knowledge gained by murderous means is wisdom's bitter enemy. The mind that burns with stolen fire will now become your funeral pyre. Not exactly the best of rhymes.
Nope.
Not the worst, but not the best.
It was the best of rhymes. It was the worst of rhymes.
Yeah. Smoke then rises from the seekers. They spout fire from their mouths.
And then are engulfed in flames.
Like if you play D&D, it's like dragon's breath.
Yep.
Fire from the mouth. And they're, engulfed in flames. They disappear in a puff. And then Phoebe immediately goes over to Cole, and they kiss.
A lot.
And Prue is happy that they saved one.
Phoebe is surprised and said that Cole has reached innocent status, which to Prue is the most important.
Yeah. Leo then orbs in, and Piper says that he has nice timing because, he missed the show. And he says that he was told to miss the show.
He asks if Prue is okay. She says she is. Piper asks what he meant, if the elders were behind this.
He says that they weren't, but that Prue had to learn the lesson by herself the hard way, that death is not evil.
Phoebe asks if she's okay. Prue says again that she is, and leaves the room.
Leo says that she just needs time.
Piper says that they need a maid.
And Phoebe nudges Cole, and they run out of the room.
Piper takes Leo over to Artichoke Lamp and says that it's not worth fighting over. If he loves it, then she loves it, because life is too short. And then they kiss.
And during the kiss,
Leo's hip knocks into the table. And the lamp smashes onto the floor. We see some electricity fizzle out.
Yeah, like the crystals fall apart.
It was rock sugar.
Yeah, like the crystals fall apart, and there's a bit in the center that had all of the electricity coming from it that just kind of
or whatever
fizzles.
Energy was lighting it.
Fizzles out. And Piper looks down and goes, "Well, now I like it even more."
What was the point of this fucking lamp?
They
had a prop. They could have just kept it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the point of this lamp was possibly to show that even couples in love can not agree on things.
Well, yeah, but then that's solved when she's like, you know what, you love it, I love it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Kiss, done.
Right. And then it falls and breaks, and I love it even more now. Really? And see, here's my thing, right? Is it's supposed to be like the flame of eternal love, this crystal of eternal love, and now you've broken it and made it die.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Nothing good.
Yeah. Like that is some ominous shit.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's not the most ominous shit they'll have in their relationship, though.
I'm sure it'll never come back to bite them in the ass. It'll never get brought up again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they broke the cake topper.
Anyway, We then cut to the same beach as before, and Prue is sitting on some rocks, looking out at the water, surrounded by seagulls. She's in light blue jeans and a blue fuzzy knit sweater and a nearly matching blue knit cap. She seems to be barefoot, too.
Yeah.
Which must be a California thing, because I don't think I could walk on rocks barefoot that way.
No, and it's really funny. This outfit is very, like, fisherwoman or, like, lighthouse.
Yeah, and it's all, like, the same tone of blue.
Yeah.
It was all, like, a very muted light blue.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, she's crying. And after a moment of silence, with waves lapping at the sand, Death appears. And he asks if she's contemplating the tides and reminds her she can't control them any more than she can control him.
She says that she understands now that he's not evil, but can't figure out why she wasn't supposed to fight the demons.
And he tells her the obvious fact that she was alone and outnumbered, and she would have lost if she had fought.
And he calls her by name, which she questions, and he says that her name was on his list just under Rhys Davidson.
He says that she was able to see him because she was so busy focusing all of her anger into fighting him that she was left vulnerable and could have died.
He tells her to remember that for the future, and she kind of gives him a look, and he questions her. And
she says that she's been mad at him for so long since her mom died that she doesn't know how else to be.
He tells her to grieve and move on, and then disappears.
Good advice, Death.
Good advice. She sits there and cries, and we end on a distant shot of her on the rocks. Sans seagulls.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Death showed up and the seagulls took off.
Yep.
Which I thought was just kind of funny and slightly poetic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, could have used that for the porgs.
Nah.
Well, the puffins, anyway.
Yep. And then we go to the end credits, and I realized that Piper didn't use her power once this episode.
Yeah, she could have.
She could have.
She really could.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
But no, she did not. Anyway, so with our end credits, that means the episode is done, which means we are on to our ratings portion.
The ratings portion of the episode.
Yes. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I will give this 8 out of 10 doula death. Which is different from a death doula, which is similar to a regular doula, but they're helping like people like grieve and shit. Except here the doula is Death, because he's trying to help Prue grieve.
Okay. Well, I will see your 8 out of 10 doula death, and I will raise you. Actually, I won't. I'll call 8 out of 10 floating fangs.
Oh, hey, look, you joined my theme.
I did. I went for the alliterative this time. I did that last time too.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful wedding.
And now we are on to outfits.
So, for Prue, I really liked the first beach outfit because it looked super comfy.
Yeah.
And for Piper, she only had the one outfit.
Yeah, I really liked that one.
I liked it a lot. I just think this is interesting. I think this is the first episode that she's only had one outfit the entire episode. Because normally they have at least two. They have either one.
When she's been in more than one scene, yes.
Yeah. Like, because normally they have at least two, sometimes three, but at least two where they're either, they have one that they wear for most of the episode, and there's another one that they're either wearing in the very first scene or the very last scene.
Yeah.
And this was Piper in the same outfit the entire episode.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting.
Yep.
For Phoebe, I didn't really care much for either outfit that she wore this episode, but I think I'll probably go with the one from the first scene because it looked super comfy.
I honestly liked that jacket she had.
Yeah, hot pink jacket?
No.
Which jacket? The jean jacket?
Denim.
The denim jacket?
The denim with the crocheted bell sleeves. I liked it.
Interesting. So, yeah. I do believe that means we are done.
Yeah.
We're on to social media stuff.
As per the usual, you can always find us at charmchats.com.
Mm-hmm. Where you can find all of the links to everything that we shall tell you about.
Including tangents and shit.
Yep.
You can interact with us
on Twitter.
On Twitter and Tumblr at CharmChatsPod, on Instagram and Patreon at CharmedChats,
as
and
well
Facebook
at CharmChats.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of patrons, we have a new patron at the $5 tier.
Yeah, Danielle is awesome and decided that she could have some money aside, and she decided to support us, and we think that is amazing. And so now, in thanks, we shall shout your name into the ether. Danielle! Yeah. so much. You're amazing. And reminder that if you become a patron at any tier, you can also join our Discord server. And if you join our Discord server and you come in with a name that is not your actual name, please message us and let us know who you are so that we can give you the proper roles so that you can actually talk to us in the proper channels. Because that's a thing.
And, if we message you about it, maybe answer us. That'd be great. It'd be really great.
Yep.
So cool.
Passive aggressive. That's us.
Be aggressive. Passive aggressive.
Yes. Anyway,
you can also find some of our merch over at redbubble.com/people/waterflame. We've only got a few things up now. Hopefully that'll change. Give us suggestions.
Yep. And you can always email us at charmchats@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We will answer as quickly as we can. Sometimes it takes a little bit because I usually only check the email when I'm with Kendra. Which, is usually once a week, but sometimes changes.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's everything.
Yep.
So, until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite. Or more curly. Bye!
Bye.
Phoebe, Piper, and Prue, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at next time with Kendra and Kat on Charm Chats.
Danielle!